Oh. Good afternoon and welcome to E Squared Empowerment with Elysia. I'm your host, Elysia Buss, and today I have the honor and privilege to connect you with Linda Cajuste. She's coming to us from Montreal, Canada. She is a confidence coach who helps empower women who are shy and introverted, who are also entrepreneurs, to find their voice and be able to reach their goals. She also does that through ideation strategy, which is like an interest. You're like, what's that? Stay tuned. You'll probably learn more about that too. And she does life coaching. And today she's going to talk to us about how she went from being a shy accountant, get this, to performing improv on stage at a Fringe Festival. So cool. We're also going to talk about how the sabbatical that she took changed her life, and also how networking, was as an introvert, how she passed through the stages of anxiety to authentic connections in her journey, weaving throughout all of that different stuff. So, Linda, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you so much, Elysia. It's my pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. So, goodness, where should we start? Shy accountant. How do you jump from being a shy accountant to doing improv? Like, what was the impulse for that?
Oh my, yes, it's a long story, and I've came a long way to be honest. But shy accountant, I've always been shy all my life. Okay, I was always introverted and shy, but I always had those big dreams, right? Ever since I was like a kid, I love like performing. I love looking at Broadway. I love writing. Storytelling, all of that. It was always something that I loved deeply. But I was like looking at the stage, but never really kind of like going on it. And yeah, so life took me, just like high school and everything. And then I went into accounting, which I love. But however, inside, I always had these, these hopes and just like, wow, I'd love to be on stage on Broadway. I love to write my own show. It's always been there. So, a few years like into like accounting, I was there. I was just like, okay, Linda, I think it's time to really explore the thing that's inside you, the thing that's really you're passionate about, like, that brings the fire inside of you. And it was for me, it was writing, it was like storytelling. And I decided to explore it. And I went, first off, decided, okay, let me see, maybe I need to find a writer's group. I need to find, I mean, people who are in kind of like this, doing this type of thing, because like I was an accountant and nobody really like is a writer or whatnot, or if they are, nobody's saying anything, right? So,
Mm.
so I decided, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me check if there's a writers group or whatnot, and I stumble upon this improv class. And it was just a tryout at first. So I was like, huh, interesting. And to me, because I was shy, I told myself maybe it's a good thing to kind of like help myself open up. I'll meet new people, people who are like more on the artistic side, maybe. And so let's try that. And I was terrified because I was going by myself. But I told myself, you know what? It's worth a try. And if I don't like it, if at any moment, at any point, I find it like it's too much, I'll just leave and I'll leave it at that.
Fair
So
enough.
I went to that class, that tryout. And yeah, I went in and it was like, at first a little bit odd. It was like there were people from all walks of life, which was really cool. However, like when we started to do, we did some exercises and it really reminded me of like kindergarten like stuff, right? So games, so you had all these like adults and we're doing kid stuff. And at first I was like, okay, this is a little bit weird, but in a good way. I was enjoying it, but I was just
Yeah.
like looking around and like, yeah, that's like I'm not used to that. It's just like we was
Yeah.
always very serious. And but at the end, I liked it, and people were so supportive, and it was so much fun. I decided to pursue it, and yeah, I found my tribe. I found my people. They were just very motivating. And after a few years of doing that, I started to be more comfortable, kind of like putting myself out there on stage and whatnot. One thing led to another, and I was starting to eye the stage. So originally I came to just like, okay, I want to write. I want to do I wanted to put my stories out there. And then, I was like, yeah, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can perform something on stage. Maybe I can write something to have perform on stage. And that's how, like, yeah, one thing led to another. And then I decided to, pitch myself for a Fringe Festival. with like an idea I had in mind, and I had great people around me who just jump on board as well. And yeah, we went for it, and we performed on a Fringe stage. Something that an improvised play that I designed, I created. So
Amazing.
that's how, like, long story short, it was so long, but I'm just saying, like, it was over the course of a few years.
That's incredible, though. I'm curious, did you ever share that that's what you were doing with the people that you worked with in accounting?
You know what? Actually, no, not at first. I kept it very secret. For me, it was like my secret garden. I would say like accounting by day, and then at night it was improv class. It's like Clark Kent. I don't know. For me, it was like my happy place. I didn't want to share at first.
Yeah.
And once I got more comfortable, and then I was like, okay, I started sharing to with people that I knew were receptive, like, because I feel sometimes, you have to protect your dreams, you have to protect what you're doing and
Sure.
share with the right people. So for me, yeah, I didn't share with like everybody. It's just like it took some time, and then I kind of pick and choose like who I share with, and they were pleasantly surprised, but yeah.
So who did you invite to the first performance on stage?
Oh, good question. First performance, I had a couple of my friends who were the ones who were more like artistic, like who were just like receptive, and they knew about my journey. Those were the first one that I invited. I didn't even invite my family at first. I invited once I was really comfortable. So my first performances, my family was not there. But yes, for my French, when I was I went to the Fringe Festival, one of the performances, because we had multiple performances, yes, my family did see me, and I was very happy. They always heard about like, oh, you're going to improv for years, but never really saw me perform because I was like, not
They're
ready
like,
yet.
what is that anyways?
Exactly. I was like, I'm not ready yet. I just wanted to be like, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to feel like, okay, I got this, and and yeah. So they did came, they came to my performance Fringe, and they were super happy. They enjoyed it. They were like, okay, now we see. Okay, this is improv. Like you going every evening. Like what is this? Like.
That's so beautiful. I love that so much. Can you, on a side tangent of that, for people watching that are like, what on earth? How could you do improv and also call yourself an introvert? So could you define for people like what an introvert is to kind of get rid of some of those myths that may be laying around about it?
Yes, well, for like an introvert, really, like, because there's difference between like being shy and an introvert. But really, an introvert, usually like introvert people, it's not that necessarily they're shy, but they're more kind of like okay with being by themselves, and try to not they get drained by being in situation that like there's a lot of people, right? So for instance, for me, like we say like, okay, after that week of performing French, I was depleted.
Yeah.
I just after it's just like Linda is out for a week. Like my social battery, we're at zero. I was super happy. So I don't know, maybe like now I'm much more, I guess, an ambivert because I'm in between, right? So I
Right.
was super happy out, during the performance, like it fills me up. But also I was drained after, and I needed just like, okay, I'm done with like social social interactions. So I feel like most introverts is like the social interactions, like you have like limited amount of just like, okay, we have our battery, and sometimes it's depleted, and we need us to step back. We're good on our own, like alone time, we thrive in it. Like for
Yeah.
me, that's when like my ideas, everything, like when I'm by myself, my batteries are just like fulfilled. But now, like I said, I'm much more in between, because most people are like, you're introvert. I'm like, yeah, I'm an introvert still, but I guess I'm more of an ambivert, so.
Absolutely. I think of like shyness having to do with either like, I guess really more insecurity. Like you may be more shy because either you don't have the confidence or you haven't had as much exposure to an experience. And so you're more tentative as to how you engage with that. And as you build confidence, you're able to more easily move through that shyness versus like introversion, extroversion, or ambiversion being more of like who it is that we are at our core and our gestalt, like how we get recharged, like extroverts being charged by being around people versus introverts like being drained and then like charged by being by themselves. And I think
Yes.
that you can build into that ambivert like throughout those pieces, but like there's a certain level that you're like, no, this is just who kind of I am. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, and totally. And like you said, to go back to the shyness, because I'm very shy. Like I'm still am, to be honest. But I kind of work, it's like a muscle, right? By pushing myself in those situations of just like, okay, go on stage, go, go talk to people, go network. And you kind of build the muscle of just like being kind of starting to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And
Yes, I love
but
that.
inside I'm still have those butterflies. I'm still sometimes I'm just like, I'm going networking and I hosting networking events and everything. But still before I'm just like, oh my God, okay, those little butterflies, they're still there in my stomach, and I'm still kind of like, okay, a little bit sweaty palms. But I do know that I have the tools. I'm okay. Like
Yeah.
I even though it's uncomfortable, but I learned that I'll be all right. Like it's fine. But so I think like there's a way to kind of like, yeah, it's not ease into it, but just like a muscle. You kind of practice and you just like, yeah, I got this. I got this before. I have all the tools within me to host like a networking event. So I'll be fine. Even though, yes, my brain is telling me like, oh, and oh my God, this is what I get. But once you've done it before, so you'll be okay. So you kind of like talk to yourself to into it. You're just like, yeah, I'll be okay.
And you're like, I got this. I got proof of
I
concept. I've
got
done this before. Like we
exactly.
survived. We didn't die. It's gonna be okay. Like, which actually we can just jump to that third one of networking as an introvert, right? And like going from anxiety to authentic connections.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, networking is a so like I said, I as an accountant, I've done a lot of networking, and um sometimes I find myself being in this a situation where you come to the networking event, you have your drink in hand, and you just like kind of like nod and smile and just stay in a corner, or maybe you go in a group and you don't really know what to say, but you nod and smile, and sometimes you interject a little bit, but that's kind of it. And afterwards, it's like, well, I don't know. Did I really connect with people? I'm not sure. I was there, but it's very hard. It's very hard. So I've been there. And I think like what really helped me is to, when I went to networking events, having like, okay, this mindset of what do you want out of this networking event? Why are you going there? Having like one goal. For instance, like, okay, this time, maybe the first time is just like being there. Even going to networking event can be your first step, and that's okay.
That's your
Don't have,
victory.
yeah, exactly. So don't have like, I need to talk, like I need to give my cards to 70 people. I need to talk. No, it's too much. We got to take it step by step. So maybe the first time is just like, I choose one networking event that I feel comfortable, maybe, and then I'm just gonna check it out, and that's okay. So this is like the first step. And then you go like next time, maybe it's just like talking to one person. Let's spot the person that's also in the corner, that's also by themselves sipping like and just nodding and smiling. Let's go to that person and say hi. Maybe it's just like saying hi, how you doing, and that's it. And you
Yeah.
kind of build yourself like this and give yourself like small goals, and before you know it, you're just like, okay, so now I went to one networking event, I talked to 1%, 2%, 3%, I give them my cards, I start to talk to the host, and you kind of build yourself up, and before you know it, you're just like, oh, okay, I'm networking, like and it's slightly less intimidating than just like have to go and small talk with people, pitch to people. Or it's a lot. It can be a lot, especially us who are shy, us who are introverted. That there are a lot of people. It's just focus on one person and not like the crowd. Things like that. So I think like
Yeah.
those are some like yeah, those are some tips that I usually give to people. Like they're still like, oh, I really want to network, but I don't know where to start because I'm shy. I'm just or I'm introverted. There's so many people. Just start with like one step first, and build yourself from there. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Could you tell us about one time when you went to a networking thing and something didn't go well on the front end and how you navigated it for the people that are like, that's a fear of mine. And oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So I told you already, like, okay, so went to multiple networking event already in mind that I was like gonna, just like talk to people. And I went in and I didn't talk to anybody. I just like I said, not in smile. So for me, afterwards, I felt like, well, that was a bust. Like I went in,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna at least talk to one person, and I didn't. So already for me, that, it takes a toll on you. It's just like, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, why? Everybody seems to got this networking thing and talk to people, and it doesn't seem to come as easily to me. And why couldn't I just like talk to one person? Or or you're just in a group and you just nod and smile and just say hi, but you didn't say like anything about why you were here or whatnot. So sometimes that's a little bit like, yeah, but like I said, just having small goals help. And I will add also another time that I did pitch myself. I was like, okay, so I'm Linda, and my pitch was all over the place. I was just like, so I'm an accountant, but I'm also doing this and that, and it was just like I could see like the confusion on it. Was like, oh, so what do you do exactly? And I was like, oh, okay, I need to kind of like
Pick one.
to kind of like pitch myself, or sometimes even the word pitch can be intimidating, but just like have like your line. You can even practice it by yourself and just say like, hey, I'm Linda, I'm a confidence coach, and I also own a company that's doing like team building events, and that's it. And if people like want to ask more questions, then you kind of elaborate, but you can keep it very simple instead of just like, hey, I do this and this and that, and you kind of get lost.
Oh,
So
girl,
I
I
got
struggle with
like
that so much. Yeah, like I do so many things that I definitely have overwhelmed people at networking event after networking event, and they're just like, "Yeah, do you sleep?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit more over here." And it's been 5 years of things, and but yeah, getting it like committing to one or two things that you do for clarity can be a real journey for
yes, yes,
people, and that like letting it be enough. And if you're one of those people that you do have just one thing that you do, like just be
yeah.
proud of the one thing that you do, right? Like even if you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are like serial entrepreneurs or something, it doesn't make you any less.
Exactly, exactly. And the other thing I say, like, if the thing that sometimes we think that we need to talk and talk and talk. No, actually, just listen to people and ask a couple questions. Be like genuinely curious. I think that helps. Like, you really want to know, like, what is it that people are doing? Why are you here? Like, have you been there before? Like, you're genuinely curious. That helps. And for me, it takes off like the pressure of just like, what do I need to say? What do I need to ask? Like, how do I make this conversation flow? Just not, I'm really curious. I'm really genuinely curious as to like, is it the first event that you went to? Is it like, do you know the host? Like, it's just being curious. And I think that kind of will, it will help with the conversation. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, having it be more about building authentic connections than trying to sell people. Like, it's not about what you can get from people, it's what you can give to your community and who you can get to know. Like everyone has something to teach us.
Exactly, exactly. How can you help people? And just listening to them as well. It's just like, yeah, I'm curious about what you're doing. I really want to understand what you do and why you're here. And I think people are very receptive to that. You're just more about like, yeah, you want to find out about them. You want to get to know them. And I think like in the long run, because sometimes when we go to networking, we just feel like, okay, we have to pitch, we have to establish like a relationship from the get-go. And it's not that quite easy. It's like it's really okay, let's connect first. Let me get to know you, the person, and what you do. Once I understand that, it's easier for me to just like say, like, okay, someone talks about something, and I'm like, oh, I know Elysia, she does this. I know,
Yeah.
and it's easier for me because like I do know what you do. I know you as a person. I got to know you instead of just like, well, I have the card there. I'm not really sure exactly, you
Like
know.
that, they do a lot of things. I'm not quite sure what it is that they do, but it
Yeah.
sounds like they do cool things.
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah.
So many things. Speaking of which, like in taking a break, you did a sabbatical. Like so did you take a sabbatical from the accounting and like how did it change your life? What was that?
Oh, yes, yes. My sabbatical for me, it was a game changer, and, so yes, it was it was during, like yes, while I was, doing accountant, so I was very lucky, where I work, you can take, like once in your career, you can take a sabbatical leave, like an unpaid sabbatical leave.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so very lucky, very grateful about that. And so, I was like, okay, it had already been a few years that had been working. and I had just started improv as well. So, like my confidence, I was like, okay, I want to try new things. I was ready to kind of like explore and say yes to things, to new things. Um,
Yeah.
so I told myself, okay, you know what? I always wanted to, yeah, write, live as a writer, like kind of like explore that side a little bit more. So I was like, I'm gonna cash in this like 1 year sabbatical in my career, and for me, it's gonna be the accountant. We'll put it aside for a year. And it's going to be Linda, the creative, Linda, the storyteller, the writer. That's going to be my year. That's going to be the theme for my year. Um, and I decided for that, like I took a sabbatical and I flew to Paris actually. So I lived in Paris for a year,
That's
and
amazing.
it was, yeah, it was magical. And I my mindset was really okay. I had a goal. So for me, it was like, if anything, I want to try new things. I want to try things that creatively that will fulfill me. So I'll say yes to a lot of opportunities, and but also I wanted to really write something, and if I could also have like something tangible, like a short film or something like that, which actually like I did. I shot my first short film. And when I tell you, sometimes like the mindset, because I had that goal from the get go. I said, by the end of this year, I want to have something like a script, I or something tangible. So I went with that mindset. I'm telling you, like everything aligned. I met people who were just like, okay, let's write. Let's like it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like I met people who were so very supportive. Like even I was like, oh yeah, I want to write. Let's do it. Let's create. Very helpful people. And I was like, this is my first time. I never written anything like or directed anything. It's like, no, it's fine. We'll assemble like a team, and really I found people who just like friends of friends, and by the end of it they had like a team, and we shot like a fourth film. And right before, it's just like kind of like I feel like it's like a movie. I like to see like, oh, it's like a movie. Right before I left to come back to Canada, I was like, okay, my editor, he was like, okay, don't worry, you'll have like your first draft, like I'll put it together before your plane leaves. And he actually delivered it to my doorstep the morning of I was flying back to Montreal. So I was like, okay, like mission accomplished. I have like my first draft of like my short film.
That's
So
amazing.
I believe just like it's the power of this mindset, because I really had it like in mind. This is what I want. By the end of the year, I want something tangible, and I don't know, everything kind of like came in place. So yeah, I was very proud and happy and very
Mm,
grateful, very grateful.
that's wonderful. I love that story. And have you since produced the film?
Actually, yeah, actually, well, it's like it was my first short film, so it's just like it's not it's not distributed anywhere and whatnot. It's just it stayed in the archive, like so people from like my team saw it and everything. So it's there, but I haven't put it anywhere like to so no, I haven't
Maybe we need to
produced
put
it.
it out. Maybe we need to put it out. Maybe it's
Maybe.
time.
Maybe. But it was the first time. I was just so grateful to have it already, and to
Yeah.
show it to like team and to people who saw the version that that was written, and then the version that's filmed. I was like, wow, okay. So for me, I was just like happy with that. But yeah, but yeah, the next step is to put it out, or put something else out now. But I was honestly very grateful, very happy. I found like great people, and
That's
and like I
awesome.
said, it was magical that because like that year, like I said, I really told myself this is my creative year. This is like, and I call it my creative sabbatical. And side note, because like I have my other company that's like, and this was inspired by that. That's called My Creative Break, and it was really inspired by taking a creative sabbatical. So me and also my other co-founder, we both kind of took like we had similar journeys, and so that's why like we have our company has like this name, My Creative Break, which was
Awesome.
inspired by
No, I love that. And so
that.
you do team building. stuff through that company, right?
So that company, what we do is like, first off, we do a lot of networking events, and not your typical one. I'm very considerate of, be people who are shy, who are introverted. So it's fun. We bring a little bit of, theatrical games, a little bit of improv. So it's not your usual like, networking events. So it is fun, and then we take care of the awkwardness. So you're never left alone. So we have a lot of like games, and you meet people like throughout the evening. So we do that, and we also do team building events for companies. So bring
Nice.
those kind of like fun games, to help people connect in better ways and also like fun ways, right? So
Yeah. Just makes it easier. And
yes.
then you have your coaching business for the confidence coaching for the shy and introverted women, and you do one-on-one coaching and groups. I forget, or was it just
Yes, I
one-on-one?
yes, I do one-on-one, and I have some classes that are coming up as well, some workshops, so can be lookout for that. So that's going to be like more interactive group workshops with like improv, that. So I do want a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of like role playing, a lot of games, so to help build the confidence, because it has helped me honestly. So I always credit improv to my journey of just like being more confident. So that's what I do as well. So I infuse like a little bit of improv, a little bit of like games, theatrical games to build your confidence. So love doing that. And yeah, there's some group stuff coming up very soon. So yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. And with us. And so Linda and I will be creating a group coaching call for the ladies specifically on Monday, November 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have a Zoom call for that. For anybody that's needing a break after voting here in the United States and you want to have a little fun and also like empower yourself and have a voice, that's a really great segue to get to do that throughout your life. It is free at this point, but not for very much longer. So, because these are high value group coaching calls. So, yeah, catch it while you can. So, speaking of that, Linda, is there anything else specifically that you have dates for that you would like to share with us for upcoming things and where people can find you?
Oh, well, upcoming things, like I said, there's you can watch me on my Instagram. So on my Instagram, yes2 coaching. And like I said, I have things coming up. We haven't like announced it yet. So I just like it's gonna be coming up in the upcoming weeks. So please follow on, yes2 coaching on IG and to get all the deets very soon. I'm super happy. And if not, you can also check me out on my creative break. So we have networking events. Like right now, we do it like in Canada. So we have like Montreal. We also do in Toronto. But very soon, perhaps the US. So stay tuned for that as well.
Sounds fantastic. So many amazing opportunities. And there's just like everything that you do in your journey is so inspirational. Like, who inspires you in the world today?
Oh, there's a lot of people like throughout my communities, like no, whether it's like my creative break, like when I go to network, I've met so many entrepreneurs who are sometimes like it's very overwhelming sometimes being an entrepreneur, right? So
For
I'm very
sure.
inspired by people who, yeah, I'm very inspired by a lot of people in my community who are pushing the envelope, who are doing all the things, and and they're doing multiple things, and there's also life going on around that,
Yeah.
whatever life is to you, but like there's also a lot of things going on, and they're still are there. They're inspiring me. They're out there. Their business is just like they're pushing forward. So I have to see people in my communities, and also like for me right now, I would say like, well, right now, always my nieces. I will give the hats off to my little nieces who are who
Oh,
are
so
12 and
sweet.
8, and I'll say that because like as adults, we don't like we talked about a lot about like play and improv and all of that, but it's something that we lose as adults. Like, so I talk about accounting and just like very square, and sometimes getting in touch with just like that playfulness, that playful side. And when I look at my nieces, they're still kids, so they have all the imagination, everything is possible. So for me, it's very inspiring, and I feel like as I'm watching that, I just want to hold on to that and say, like, as adults, we need to kind of like, inspire ourselves from kids to have like this mindset. keep the imagination alive, keep the playfulness alive. Even if in the most serious stuff, I understand like there's a place to be serious and everything, but we can still have this playfulness and bring things that would be just, I think like it would make things so much better. Just like if we just were not always so serious. So yes, I will put my nieces as inspiration with their imagination and just like their willingness to just like ask questions and do a little bit of everything.
I love that, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I feel like I'm one of the few out there that I never lost that childlike aspect. And the flip side of that is there definitely were periods of my life when people told me that I was being too immature, right? Because I just was like, no, like I've always held on to that childlike wonder of the world around us and that playfulness. And that's part of what makes me a great coach in my own way, right? Like getting to do the playful pivot and do the confidence coaching. And
Yes.
but yeah, I love that about kids. And I think there is not a greater sound in the world than the sound of children laughing.
Oh yes, I love that. I love that too.
It's
It's so
so
true.
pure and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I love that.
So, Linda, thank you so much for being with us here today and sharing your story. I'm really excited to get to do the group coaching call with you with the women for Playful Pivot on Monday, November 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope all of you follow her on Instagram, follow me on YouTube for E Squared Empowerment with Elysia. That's an E and a 2, Empowerment with Elysia. And yeah, until next time,
Thank
we
you
will
so much.
see you all later. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure always.